minute and let people filter in because we started on time today, which is amazing. As you can see, I'm not alone. I have the wonderful and talented SL Holbrook.
Thank you.
Hello. Today. Hello. I'm going to pop in and check on the stream real quick and see as people filter in so that I can monitor chat.
While you're waiting, can I ask you a question about your theme song?
Yes.
Is it from the thing that we made in the fall?
What was the thing that we made in the fall?
The song that I made. It's the same starting notes.
It's just a CEG. So
I know.
it
was the same notes of the.
It maybe in my subconscious somewhere.
I'm just wondering because I was like, that's very much the
I don't
song
know.
we wrote.
I don't know. Maybe. Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just three notes. I do a different version in the audio. Hey, looks like we have some people popping in the chat. There we go. Now I can see the chat. Hello. Fantastic. Great. We've had a few more people that may filter in. I was thinking about going live over there on the Insta as well, but that might be a little too much, huh?
This is your rodeo.
It is my rodeo. Tonight we're going to be talking about the strike.
Yep.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about. Again, I want to give just a few minutes to let a couple more people filter in. Maybe pop on an Instagram just to let people know to come here. So before we talk like strike business, do you want to introduce yourself to anyone who's unfamiliar, who will be watching later if they aren't here in the stream? So far, we've got quite a few people. We've got Robert and Egan and Scott and Larry and Margie and we've got many people. So
lovely. I guess I should.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, I am SL Holbrook. It's funny that I'm introducing and you're like clunking around. Like
That's because I live.
What was I say? Oh, me. I'm SL Holbrook. I am the owner of Argo Nova Studios, and co-creator of Argo Nova Studios. Also actor with SAG-AFTRA, director, producer, all the things. Yeah, I've done stuff. If you want to see
I've done stuff. You were just you were in Candy on Hulu not too long
no,
ago.
if y'all just go to IMDb. I don't like listing credits. I
you
think
don't want to just blast out the old resume?
I don't. It always makes me feel
fair.
weird. It's like, usually I'm relevant as a human. And it's like, okay, well,
all right, I will pop on to Instagram just to let people know that we are here, and to tell them to come over to YouTube. People forget. Is everybody on Threads? I don't know.
I'm not.
That's fine.
But does that surprise anyone who knows me? No, it doesn't.
Of course not.
It doesn't. I just came back from my lyra class, so I'm very sore. Got some new bruises, which is good.
Yeah. Checking connection. Too many stuffs. Hello.
There are like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 7 monitors in my.
Yeah,
usage.
There's a lot of monitors here.
It's a lot.
Yeah. We live in a spaceship. Hello. I don't know if anyone is here, but hello. We're here in studio today. We'll be talking about the SAG-AFTRA strike. I should probably pop in on the YouTube real quick and just let you know where to go. So it's youtube.com/@JEFH post. There we go. Hooray. So welcome, Insta folks. The main show's on YouTube, but we'll be here as well chatting. I'm doing my best to get us in a 2-shot.
No, it's fine. See,
added this in last second.
I can move.
Shame on me.
That's how that works.
Okay, fantastic.
You'll just get my hair.
Yeah. The cat is hiding over there today. So if you're on Instagram, there's the cat. So I'll post that later. So she's around. Yeah, but she's around.
She is.
We have a dedicated Sarah solo cam today for Sarah.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. But let's start talking about this strike situation.
Yeah.
Something that if you know us, if you know us personally, if you're not watching this later or something on a clip, then you may already know about it. You may also be an actor or whatever, or you're adjacent enough to our lives to know about it. And there's a lot of us in that situation. You know, all of our friends think that they understand totally everything that's happening. And that's something that we should not take for granted, because I'm hearing that there's a lot about this strike situation that people don't, not that they can't understand, they just don't know about it, because it's not their world.
Well, a lot of things that have been kept quiet while negotiations were going on and things like that as well.
Yeah. Sorry. Someone says, I don't know what screen to watch on. Hello. Oh, Shannon. Hey. So if you're not in it, in fact, I got a thing from Tony today saying, he feels like that SAG isn't doing a great job educating the general public on the situation.
I think that's because they're so in the trenches trying to fight for us. I don't think that they necessarily have had the energy to, to tell people on the outside, because I mean, like, they were in negotiations for 6 weeks straight. You know what I mean? So like, there hasn't necessarily been time.
They've had heads down.
And I would say too that like I feel like Instagram Reels, TikTok, I'm seeing so many actors on the picket lines really breaking down like why we are striking and why, like, since you're already going to be on those platforms, it's just been really great to hear different people's perspectives on it. I mean, or how they explain it. But essentially, we are striking because we work very hard for what we do. And the thing is, we're not all going to be the top A-listers. Like, we're not, you know what I mean? Like, but we're striking for all of the other working actors. And it's not just actors, right? It is dancers. It is voiceover artists. It is background performers. It is stunt performers. Like, that's all under the umbrella of SAG, and it is all affected by this contract, the TV theatrical contract. So it's not affecting commercials. It's not affecting, print work or voiceover work for commercials. But it's specifically for TV, film, and streaming, because they're all together now, right? Like, it's all one big umbrella. COVID changed that, right? It used to be something would get picked up for a season. It would go on a major network run. You would know the metrics. Something would go to the theaters. You would know how good the box office was. You would get metrics. When things switched to streaming, they stopped releasing the numbers of how well something would do. And when something does well, if you're an actor and you've been on it, your residuals reflect that. Like, you get, I forget what the percentage is off the top of my head, but as like, oh, I'm a day player on this show, I get X amount percentage every time someone watches an episode on the television, or it's at a theater and like whatever, I would get a residual check. But because there's no metric for streaming and they won't release the numbers, I could get a check for 20 cents. I could get a check for $5, even though I did the work and I helped add to the story. I don't get adequately paid. And I think there are other actors who've been series regulars who you would think, oh, I can make a living at that. And they're not able to make a living. And if you are on a show that has won Emmys, that has brought in millions and millions of dollars for a streaming network, and you can't make a living, and it's your art that they are profiting off of, that's a problem. So I would say that's part of it. That's one branch of the tree. The other branch of the tree is AI. I know there's that story going around of how a certain company wanted to scan background artists and use their likeness in perpetuity and only pay them once. And that doesn't fly. If they are using your likeness, you should be paid every time they use it. And then there's some other stuff, but I don't want to.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I don't want to just monologue.
You can. I have some visuals that I can share too in a minute, but you'll see a lot of when we show the videos, you'll see a lot of fervor and excitement about the strike, and a lot of people, really, really pumped up. And I do not want anyone to ever mistake enthusiasm for union solidarity. Yeah. With the idea that we're having a great time here. This is not a snow day.
Yeah.
Right. This is going to hurt people. This is going to hurt people's income and livelihood.
Right. And not just actors, because I want you to think for every one actor that's not working right now, there are 15 crew members, IATSE members who aren't working right now. There are writers who are not working right now, because the writers are also on strike. But you think about like on set, how many crew members there are, and their negotiations are happening next year around like this time. But like as film and television has stopped, it affects everyone. And so they're predicting, I mean, you can never know with strikes, but we were told it probably will go to the end of the year. That is 6 months. 6 months of people not having regular income, not having health insurance, because a lot of people are going to lose their health insurance. Like, if you're a working actor, you have to like make X amount of money, which by the way is almost impossible to make because of the streaming and how like they have undercut our pay so much. And for as much as Jeff and I have worked, we have never qualified for SAG insurance because they have paid us so low and everything else. When like you look at Jeffrey's credits, he absolutely we should have had health insurance many, many times. But all that to say is that like if this goes on until December, that's 6 months. And a lot of people lose health insurance. And like these are, people who have families, people who have like been in these careers for decades, right? Because when you're a working actor, like everyone thinks like it's all the A-listers and everything, but like you can be a successful working actor in this industry doing gig to gig to gig, but it is becoming harder to make it be your only job. Like
similar parallel, I think, to what the writers are going through, where they would have months of work, and now the rooms are, here's a couple of weeks to bang out a shorter season than America used to do,
or what they call like soft rooms, where like they're not technically, they're soft writers rooms or whatever.
It's this black box, though. We've talked to producers who say, we don't get to know data about our movie.
Yeah,
you would think, right? As much information as we have access to right now, that if you spent, a couple $1 million on a movie, that you would be able to see the metrics when you send it to a streaming platform like Netflix. And they're saying, no, we don't get that information. We get some vague idea of that information. Same thing for us in residuals. There are some like the old style network stuff where we get like breakdowns, which are amazing, of when and what things air. But as far as the streaming services, we get a check, not a big check, and we have to trust that the amount of money, we just have to trust the amount of money that they're giving us is commensurate with the streams that it gets. And if it is, even if it is, the deal is wrong. The deal is old. We were informed at the meeting that basically all of these deals were made before streaming, like
existed
decades before streaming. Like those were the models. And the money moved. And we have to go where the money is now.
And the old contract, was negotiated in 2020 when we were all flailing.
Yeah, but even before that, the basis on that contract is
right. But they said they
even older.
I can't remember the term that they used, but basically they slammed us into a corner. And we had to take a bad deal because there was no option, because we couldn't work otherwise. And like to have COVID and to try and go onto a strike would have been terrible. You know what I mean? So they felt like they had to take the deal that was offered 3 years ago because they wanted to get us back to work. You know what I mean? But now we're seeing the effects of that. And that's why we're standing up. I mean, it's a nexus. Like we haven't both, like the SAG hasn't struck since 1960. And in that strike, when we struck the last time, that's when we got residuals. That's when we got healthcare and pension. The biggest things that you would expect a long-term job. Like we had to negotiate that. In 1960.
And we'll talk about the AI component and other stuff. Don't get distracted by the words AI. Everyone's using it. We're going to talk about basically like animation. We'll talk about that in a second. But first, just a couple of gems from the chat. Our friend Patrick from the Crash and Ride podcast has some great stuff about IATSE. Patrick says, He says IATSE people are already hurting. That's our friends in crew and
hair, makeup,
animation,
wardrobe,
everyone. And they were gracious enough to host us at their union hall the other night for the SAG meeting, which we'll show you some video of in a second. I think the reason that they're hiding the true numbers is because the studios are actually not netting that much because the overhead for streaming is insane. Okay, so I know that you are coming at some of this from computer info as well. And yes, video streaming is very expensive, but look at what they pay their CEOs.
Yeah.
Are we, I don't know if we're all familiar with Hollywood accounting, but it's not a catchphrase. It's a real thing. So a movie will make no money on paper, right? Which is absolutely not true. Right. But it looks like it makes no money, which is absolutely not true. Right. Otherwise, how on earth can you pay these people that much? Mm-hmm. What's being asked for from the unions is one, just a share of that result of the product we helped create. And honestly, a share that's not going to ding them that much money in the grand scheme of things.
Yesterday, the numbers that were thrown around, the bonuses for Netflix. What
solidarity looks like.
The bonuses for not the salary, not the rate, just the bonus for one CEO for Netflix was $138 million, just bonuses, not including salary pay, any of that. The Writers Guild of America's proposed contract would only cost them $60 million. In bonuses, the CEO is making $138 million. So please tell me why they don't have money to take care of the people who write the content that they are profiting off of. Explain that math to me.
Mm-hmm.
Explain that. And that's just bonus. That's not salary. That's not other shows. Just in bonuses, $138 million one person is making. The whole entire union is asking for a $60 million thing. How make it make sense? It doesn't. It is just great. It is just great. And that's all it is. And the fact that they're saying they don't care if people lose their homes, they don't care, like, so that we are desperate enough, that is not okay. That is not okay. And it will.
So,
anyway.
So the,
let me get
the stories that will be coming out, right?
Yeah,
like where people let things slip. And the rumor is that they had two versions of that story and they let the wrong one slip and they regret it. Who knows what's true or not? But who knows what's true or not?
Yeah.
There are stories that are being released that that fly into the public narrative of this conversation while it's hot, because people will get tired of this conversation when we're in month 6 of the strike, right? There are stories that are coming out that are designed to spin the narrative, push it the way that they want it to go, and that are also designed to divide the union members.
Yep.
Right. It's an old tactic. Yep. Right. So there's one story that goes out where this guy says, yeah, they should pay the CEOs less. And also the top stars should also make 25% less. And you go, oh, well, sure. I kind of understand if all the top earners are, whatever. That is there. See, they're in the same union as us. That's there to divide us.
Yeah.
And what happens is, if we get to go to work on a show, we're going to work on,
on the back of
because that star is carrying the show. Like that is a real thing.
Yeah.
They're bringing in the audience. They're bringing in the numbers. Their celebrity is the thing that is driving so much of everyone even getting to work that day. And so I don't know why.
And they're doing the work. It's like they are doing the work. The actor is actually doing the work. What is the CEO doing?
Yeah,
the CEO didn't write it. The CEO didn't produce it.
Yeah.
The CEO isn't spending 16 hours on set bearing their soul and then telling the story. Like, what are they doing?
Those negotiations happen differently, and they're paid differently, right? A lot of actors are not paid directly to them. They're paid to kind of a holding company, right? There's all kinds of things when you get to that level that are very, very different about how it all works.
Yeah.
But also, if there, let's just take the bait for a second. If there is, if internally as actors we feel like there is a difficulty with how much they're getting paid versus how much we're getting paid, this is not the fucking time for it.
Right.
We have to stand strong and stand together in order to just get a fair deal for everyone. If there is stuff inside our own house that we need to work on together as members, this is not the time. We have to get through this first. from Instagram. Speaking of the AI thing, our friend from another YouTube channel, which is funny because we're on Instagram, says, I heard the story about only paying a background extra once and using their likeness without paying them as long as they want. As someone who's worked in background several times, that really irritated me. So
absolutely, it should irritate you.
More than irritate, I feel. I think there's.
It is for me. It is such a violation of self. It is such a violation of self because in this industry, this is what we have to. It is why we have headshot. It is how we present ourselves. And so you're telling me, because look, background actors always get treated like shit on set. They do. Now that is changing. I am seeing that narrative change, but like the background actors, it's some of the most thankless work, but they help create the ambiance. They help you create the scene. You're creating the environment.
It's also where you start.
It's where you start.
Almost everybody starts
in background. Everyone. I did, like some of the people that, are ahead of us career-wise, everyone has started in background because you just want to be on set and you just want to be part of it.
So
anyway, it should irritate you. I think it is a violation, and I think it is so indicative of the disrespect that is ingrained in what the AMPTP is representing and what has happened in the talks and whatever, is that their disregard for humans and the work that they do on every level, I think is so indicative of them only wanting to pay background actors once.
Yeah.
I think that is just so telling.
So let's oops, I sent the wrong link in. Well, youtube.com/@JeffH for the big show. Let's pull that apart just a little bit. Let's pull some of the red herrings out of the way. Sure. And first off, let's look at how did they get here? So, okay, you're making a movie. You need extras. You have them do usually a pretty basic image release, which is, you're going to come, you're going to work. And every piece of film that we capture you in, including BTS, we own that. And we own your likeness in that regard. And we can use that to make this movie forever. And as an extra, you won't get residuals. That's just normal extra work.
Right.
Okay. So you can see how they would say, gosh, well, we need to do this crowd scene. We have all the stadium. We already own their likeness. We're already cutting and pasting these extras literally into these scenes. However, there are some limitations because we're not dealing with AI. Not really. That's a red herring. We're dealing with animation in disguise and VFX in disguise. AI is it's not part of the tool that it's used, but it's distracting from from where we're really going. What they're saying is it's hard in a composite to just have that. So I can take that actor and I can take the flat photograph I have of them and I can put that photograph onto a mesh of a basic person, a 3D mesh of a basic person. And then I have some more flexibility of where I can put my light and that kind of stuff later for making them in that movie, right? Wouldn't it be much better if I could actually scan the actor on the day, scan the extra, and then I have a 3D puppet that I can put anywhere I need. And then it starts to get weird. And then I can do anything I need, including stuff that was never part of that extra's performance.
Right.
That extra is suddenly making performance choices that they never made. Now that happens to lead talent as well. But they're compensated better and they're going to get residuals and there's a different deal there. Yeah. So then they say, well, the part that makes, I get where all this technically is coming from, but the part that is bananas is, well, we're going to do that once. And well, now we can put the human being equivalent of a Wilhelm scream in every movie that we want. Yeah. This little digital avatar puppet thing that we have now, we can put in every movie that we want. Now they backslide on that and they said, oh, it was just going to be for that one movie. But what are you allowed to do to that person's image in that one movie? Can you suddenly, if you use a fake body, is that extra allowed to do nudity suddenly? And they never signed off on that.
Yeah.
So that's where.
Or are you having them make a choice that they wouldn't have made that makes them feel uncomfortable? You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. And it's different when you are, Look, there's always some version of that, right? You may be cut into a scene and it's a crowd scene, and you don't know suddenly that you're like rooting for like some really awful person, but it's fiction and it's a movie and it's whatever. And they can say, well, what's the difference? We can make them do whatever we want anyway. We just need their face. It's almost, and it's like, so at this point, why are you not just basically generating people out of whole cloth? And they say, and they guess, well, I guess we can do that too. So we start to see like both sides of eroding the use of a physical actor. But if you're coming in, how far does it go? If you come in, you do extra work for a day and they own that scan of you, how far does that go?
Right. And
how does that kill your career?
Correct. Because then that's what makes me think, right? Because so like many moons ago, when I first signed with my agency, they were like, you can't, because I came from doing background, they're like, you can't do background anymore because of shows. If they know that you were a background on a show or a movie, then like you can never be in the show or the movie as speaking because of continuity. Mm-hmm. And so if when I'm first starting my career and I become a background and then you own my likeness in perpetuity, does that mean I can never audition for any film that you produce because I was a background blur a million years ago that you took my likeness and in perpetuity? Like, I don't think that's fair.
Right.
Like that's, and it's detrimental and it's,
yeah. So
and I think about all the things you like learn as a background, like when you're like just figuring out how to even be on set, and God, I just feel so it is predatory. That is a predatory practice, and I know they're backsliding, but I think they anyway, let me not go down
sure
a tangent.
All right, let me show you. So let's switch gears for a second. We'll talk about a little some more specifics of the strike, but I want you to see the energy. How many people were here?
And this is just one room. There were 3 others.
Yeah,
and they were all standing room.
So this is kind of what we see as we coming in.
Yeah.
So again, that's just how many people are in this one
room.
Room, right?
There were 2 other rooms.
Like that's kind of nuts, and this is before everything really kicks off. So I just wanted to show you that, and we'll show you some more stuff about as we talk about who can make content and who can't. We have some specific guidance on that, which matters. If you know us, it matters to us because there's a lot of stuff we can't talk about on here, but we are, we've been producing some stuff. And we are independent, and some of the stuff that we're working at is with, besides just us, is with other SAG actors, and we're even trying to get some names, but it's like, what are we allowed to do?
Yeah.
And thankfully we got some answers about that, and we can share that in a minute. Anything else on your mind, real quick?
I don't know.
You don't know. Okay. Well,
I have a lot of thoughts.
You have a lot of thoughts.
Know.
Sure. Yeah. I can show a little bit more of the meeting.
I mean, I will say, I think it's, because it's early days and everyone's energy is high. And I think it's also like invigorated, our WGA friends, because they've been on strike for 72 days. Like, lest we forget, they've been at it for a while, and the last writer's strike in 2008 only went 100 days, and it's going to go beyond that, so I think it's just being aware and cognizant of that, like, it really is going to be a marathon. They warned us and said they're going to play dirty, they're going to get dirty, the AMPTP is, and I fully believe that. I think like they're going to start being really nasty. I have some speculation. I don't know that I necessarily want to share that about where I think things are going to go. Wait on that. But yeah, I just think it's.
If you want to see the videos we're playing,
go to YouTube. But it is important that our non-union friends don't cross the picket line because. That would have detrimental effects for everyone.
That reminds me. So, this kind of stuff we get to do because this is just our personal channel and social media. And there's not any union about like what we're doing here.
Yeah.
However, people, and I know there's at least one fine human being in this chat who has a large presence on TikTok. And I know you've already heard this, but I'm going to say this just for everybody. If you do have a large social media presence and you are contacted by a studio to do anything to promote, talk about, post about one of their films, that is crossing the picket line.
Yeah.
And you can't do that. And here's the thing. If anyone ever wants to become a member of the union, and you do want to be a member of the union if you take your career seriously and you're really, really in it for the long haul, there's lots of reasons that people don't join. But my opinion is, if you're really here for it, you should at some point join when it makes sense for you.
Yeah.
But you won't be allowed to do that if you cross the picket line.
Yeah. I know even too, like with, because, it's convention season right now, they've really asked cosplayers not to cosplay anything that is currently on strike or would have been struck if things, so like, like Walking Dead or stuff like that. Comic books are fine, but they're really like, please don't promote things that were produced by studios, because it gives them power and it gives them free advertising. But I know that they're reaching out to cosplayers and people who have, social media followings, because that's what they're trying to do. Because right now, there's two big films that are coming out right now, and those celebrities cannot do red carpets and can't do any press. So the directors are doing it. So you're going to see a lot of directors promoting the films, because
that's their job.
That is their job. They
have a contract that is that they just re-upped. So like that's them fulfilling their obligations.
Correct.
IATSE, their contract is up next year, right? And so who knows what's going to happen, with him then. When the writers went to strike, we were all still under a valid contract. I did work during the writer strike because I was told, like, I'm supposed to do the work. We are still under a contract until we started striking. When June 30, right? That's when everything ended. I mean, before the strike, but that's when the contract ended.
But then they extended stuff till the 12th, which meant that people could collect a paycheck.
Your local TV news broadcasters, they're on a different contract. They're in the union, but they're on a different contract. Radio people, audiobook people, voiceover people. Those are different deals. This is the TV film contract that's expired. Specifically dealing with films with the AMPTP.
Right.
There are interim agreements that can be had for independent productions, and that's a whole different thing. And we'll talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
Let me show you. This is a quick fun one. Michelle Hurd was on the Zoom, which was kind of cool.
Negotiation. I've been in a few negotiations, and they have been so. Fran said it. They were so disrespectful.
Just to hear that part again.
Yeah.
Fran said it. They were so disrespectful.
So.
And I know you didn't even record like much after that, but like,
yeah,
she went
I
into
have some stuff about the deals I want to show.
Great detail about sort of what the negotiating committee had to endure for 6 weeks, and the AMPTP even tried to pit West Coast against East Coast. Again, they were trying to make different deals for different regions, and it didn't work.
But that's their game. They try to divide.
But that they were just disrespectful about the work.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Anyway.
There's stuff that we learned. I should have brought this image, but I didn't think to bring it. There's an image in Los Angeles of them I forget what studio it was, where they cut down all of the limbs on this tree on a sidewalk where picketing happens, so that the writers and actors on strike would be subject to like intense heat. In fact, a lot of the picketing has ended around
Universal.
A lot of the picketing has ended around noon in LA. Some days because of the severe heat. And I'm thinking, and now that we're all in it, it's like, why that's not that it's not important, but us actors are pretty good at standing around in really bad positions, in bad weather, on our feet for a long time, just waiting to do something. And we are good at that because of the AMPTP because of the deals that we have and because of the kind of work that we do. So you're not going to tire us out.
As hard as it is for us, it is even harder for our IATSE friends who are also doing that and the heavy lifting and everything. You know what I mean? Like just
right. Yeah. So here's something that was said at the meeting about how long the strike will go on.
The strike will end is when the companies come to the table, talk to us, and present fair, reasonable, and
fair, reasonable, and respectful. Sorry, I guess I don't have the whole clip here. But I do have one more that I'll pull up for you.
I mean, they did say they said they, as long as if we can reach a fair deal, great, and that SAG is willing to negotiate at any point in time. But AMPTP is not coming to the table. Like, it's radio silent. Let me say
share this.
Let me say this. So they extended the deadline, right? 12 days. And then at like the last day or two, they called in a federal negotiator, which was funny because they had been talking, and then they get the SAG representatives get a text message saying that the AMPTP is flying in a federal negotiator so that things don't fall apart. And it was like, it was all a stunt. And that the AMPTP wasn't going to, they basically resent everything that SAG had proposed and just said no across the board. Didn't even look, just no. So I don't think they ever wanted to negotiate.
They wanted to sell those movies, though.
Yeah. So anyway.
Okay. So just one more thing addressing the, if you are looking to produce something like we are, what do you get to do? So here's something about that.
There is what's called interim agreement. It is not a waiver because we ain't waiving anything. We are not waiving anything. We will agree. And those interim agreements will comprise all the things that we're asking from the AMPTP. Because here's what we're going to do. If indie producers can do it, well, shit, the AMPTP. Make sure they have an interim agreement. You can call the office and they will make sure that you have it. Don't take people's words for it. It ain't a waiver, okay? And there are no AMPTP companies that are going to have that. Yeah. It'll be independent producers. Is there anything else, Melissa? There's what's called.
So there you go. So that's that.
Right.
And we're not showing you anything that's secret here.
Yeah.
This meeting was open to the public as well. It was open to union members and to the public. It's just we're trying to get the information out there as much as we can.
Yeah.
So there will be movies. In fact, the night that we were there, you had an audition come up. We won't say for what, but you had an audition come up and we're like, oh no, is this, whatever. And they said, no, this one is one of the ones that they got a rush interim agreement.
I mean, they even addressed it at the
everyone was
meeting,
talking about
because everyone was like, but they said that, and they're like, no, we can confirm this. They do have an interim agreement. It is, and I think that's really great because I would love it if independent, productions could thrive, and it means actors can work and IATSE can work, and we can get writers on set, and like we will outlast them. Because here is the thing that I find so. This was like, because I'm scrappy. But it's like, motherfuckers, we have been actors and writers and artists, and we have been broke, and we know what that fucking life is. So you want to fucking come after us? Let's fucking go, because we know how to be fucking poor and we know how to be fucking desperate. But like, fuck off. We'll fucking band together and take care of our own, because like, I can't think of any artistic community or theater community or like that doesn't fucking like come together. So it's like, all right, motherfucker, let's go. I know I'm cussing too much for social media.
No, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. This is our thing. We can do.
It's alive. You just bleep it out after. But really, it's like to want to do this career, to have a career in the arts, writing, dancing, singing, right? You have to have some resilience and fucking tenacity, because you get told no every single fucking day of your life. You just do. You audition, you get told no. And sometimes you get to be told yes, and you get to do the thing that you have trained to do. And that's great. And those moments are great. But a whole bunch of it is a lot of work that never gets seen. Auditions that are great that never get seen, being told no. So the AMPTP playing hardball is like, all right, we'll find a way. We'll do independent productions. We'll find some other way to survive because that's what artists do. We figure out how to survive so we can tell our stories. So fine. Let it boost the independent film market. Let all the great stories that I think should be out there and told that never get, seen. There'll be a huge surge of that. I'm so excited. And also I love to stick it to motherfuckers.
hot stuff coming in from the chat here. No, you have a hot take. Scott says, all the online articles I already see are saying your favorite movies and shows are being stopped by those people.
Sure. And
they're meant to turn fans and the general public opinion against those striking. That is absolutely true. Hey, Doug, what's up? Welcome to the chat.
Right.
Let's see. Alien, the FX series, Alien on FX started production non-union today. Oh, I would like to hear more about that.
I bet there's going to be picketers.
If there's some, if you want to drop a link in the chat or text me or something, I can Google it, but I need to look at some of this.
Because we did get word that if productions that were once SAG tried to flip and go non-union, that's when we at least in our market would start picketing because that's not cool to take jobs away from people.
There is, let's see. Okay, this is something that I know that we see in our emails, but maybe a lot of people don't see. So I'm going to show this.
And I will say today, they released the contract of what they were trying to negotiate for, like the 4 pages.
Yes, that
is available. That I think we should make available so that everyone can see point by point what we were fighting for and what the AMPTP said. It's out there. It's
okay. I'll try and find it.
Yeah.
Let me show you just the general. Let me show everyone the general thing real quick. So we get this.
That's the thing.
Oh yeah. Okay. This is exactly what she's talking about.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
So here's stuff that we were asking for. Okay.
Oh, it's reversed on your screen. That's so hard.
I don't know if it's reversed in the. I don't think it's reversed in the chat. If it's reversed in the chat, please someone let me know. SL, if you can monitor the chat for me. For us. I'm sorry that it's white text on black.
It is white text on.
All right. First off, an 11% general wage increase in the first year.
It is not reversed on this stream.
Okay, thank you. So the first thing you see is they're just trying to up our base wages through the year. And the reason that we're trying to do that is inflation. Basically, the wages tend to go up every renegotiation, but COVID and everything else and inflation has just kind of screwed us. So that was the thing they wanted. And they came back with this shitty 5%. Okay, great. New media revenue sharing. So just flat out rejected. The thing that we were talking about at the top, where we're like, hey, we make stuff, we're all making you successful. And there's no. And they had an extra however long it was to come up with something no, just flat no. I can drop a link to this somewhere, but
I would.
There's just all of this stuff.
I will say, Larry has asked, will a nasty letter and not renewing my streaming services when the time comes help out? And so right now the stance is not to ask for a public boycott right now because it is a way that actors can still get money, even the little penance. But it also shows how much people rely on streamers and our talent. So they're not calling for a public boycott yet.
Yeah.
That's not to say that they won't eventually, but as of right now, the current status is your money is yours to do with what you want.
May change. They may call for a boycott.
Right.
But we're not there yet. So if we get there, sure. Also, all the mad letters you want to write, go for it.
Write mad letters. Go for it.
I think
put them on blast.
Collective action is the biggest thing, right?
Yeah.
One person, sure, but it takes a lot of people to get their attention. And that's what we need to do.
And I will say it was really interesting because all of the media outlets were there, all of them. And so Jeff and I stayed up to see what the coverage would be on the news. And each reporter said almost the same thing. And it was 30 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
Dozens of actors came for a meeting. Dozens. No, it was thousands. I would say at least 1,500 people were there. Like, and that's not an exaggeration.
I don't know. It was very many. I mean, it was because what we showed you in the video was, again, just one room. There were breakout rooms and spaces. I don't
And
know.
there was people
There
out in
probably
the
will never
parking
be an
lot.
official count for many reasons, but no, I
Right.
don't,
But
there are people in
dozens.
the parking lot. There are people outside. Yeah.
That could not fit in the building.
We
Anyway.
we got there early. Well, we thought we got there early, and it was like, holy shit.
It was already full by the time, and we got there at like 6:30, 6:40.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Anyway.
So that's kind of what's going on there. But the short version is, we are trying to carve out our future in these negotiations. Like, the industry is at a real cusp of change. We would like for people to be able to live off of this. They're making so much money.
Yeah.
And we're comparatively asking for so little, and
Right.
we're trying to be so reasonable, but reasonable doesn't work anymore. So we have to strike.
$73,000 a day. They make $73,000 a day.
$27,000 to qualify for health insurance,
Right. And they make
and we don't.
$73,000 a day.
and most actors don't.
What they make in one day could help so many anyway.
And they'd still be profitable.
Another question is, what can people outside of the industry do to be supportive?
Dozens of us, dozens.
There is a link that I can't remember right now.
Okay.
About the fund that helps people.
The emergency fund.
The emergency fund. You can donate to that. It helps actors, writers, and IATSE members who are struggling to pay medical bills or rent.
Yeah.
I imagine that as this drags on, it's really going to be needed because you guys, it's early days. And so everyone has this fervor, but think about in the fall, when October and then the holidays start and November and things like the holiday, I think they are going to try and wait that long because people will get desperate when it gets cold and desperate and the days are longer, or shorter and things become more expensive. I think they're going to try and play on people's desperation to crack. And I think that's when the support of the emergency fund will be really vital.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So it's at SAG-AFTRA .foundation/emergency. And just to declare, we are not dipping into this fund.
No.
We're not doing that. But if you or anyone does donate to that fund, that fund is there to help actors that are much
really
worse off.
Yes.
So we're not asking for our sake.
No, but
if you do donate, it would be for
I'm thinking in the long run for, the people who are paying rent. And, when you live paycheck to paycheck and when you are, you haven't built your support system yet, or you're still early in this business, it's a struggle, right? It's a huge struggle. And, just coming off of when everything shut down and then starting again, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Question coming in from Larry and from Doug about, it's related to this. If you are not a union member or whatever, how can you support the efforts? How can you support what we're doing? And
Don't cross the picket line.
Don't cross the picket line. But if you're also, say, not even actively in the industry, I think helping to keep the story clear that this is not about a bunch of entitled celebrities, because that is one of the stories that's out there. This is about working class actors. Folks like us, folks who also have other gigs and we have to do other things, to keep afloat, right? We would like to be doing, only acting all the time, but we have to have our hands in some other stuff as well, because we have to make money.
We have to survive.
We have to survive. And we're fortunate that we're able to find some work in creative endeavors, but there are people that, if they're not in bad shape right now, they're going to be in bad shape.
I work a part-time job that has nothing to do with film or something creative.
And that's normal. That's the norm.
Yeah.
But there's people who are going to be in very bad shape, who are really, like we said, it's not a snow day. People who are really going to hurt from this. And I don't it would be a disservice to them to not defend them when someone comes up with a narrative, oh, it's just a bunch of entitled rich people. And that's not what's happening.
I would also say too, no one's worked for 6 months. They stopped doing productions like it has been slow since January.
Unless you're doing commercials or stuff.
Unless you're doing commercials, but TV and film has become a standstill since January. It was like a little tiny trickle in February, but by March, things were just stopping. So people in IATSE have been hurting for a while. Actors have been hurting for a while because this was planned. Because they knew we were going to go into negotiations, and I think they were trying to keep us a little desperate.
Yeah.
So people have already been out of work for a good 6 months. So if it goes until December, people are going to be out of work for a year. Truly, that's not an exaggeration. It's almost going to be like when things shut down. And
yeah.
A lot of people didn't come back from that. You know what I mean? And not just actors and creative types, but people you remember, everyone remembers, they're trying to do that again and play upon our fear and whatever, but we just have to stay the path.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
In from the chat, I'll say this. I got a residual check from a SAG commercial 2 years ago, right after getting laid off. I have a similar story.
Congratulations.
And I don't know what I would have done without the residual. AI would mean that I don't get that. Bitch, I was broke this morning, and I've got a check coming in from a commercial tomorrow, and I am so grateful.
Yes.
The money comes in, and the bills come in, and
you should be compensated for the work that you did. Yeah. Absolutely.
Well, and during COVID, we were able to book work after just getting fired.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, a lot of people got fired, but we
got extremely lucky because if you hadn't booked that commercial and I hadn't booked that other gig,
let's talk about that.
We would have been in
the thing that you booked was a SAG network thing, wasn't it, or was it stream? Oh, it doesn't matter.
No, I was thinking about
okay. So I booked
we're talking in secrets because of contracts.
I booked a Class A commercial during COVID, and the residuals from that, because that was what you call a good contract. But it's also a contract that was negotiated in the older world, right? For commercials that when you think of a proper commercial back in the day,
a national commercial
that doesn't just air on streaming, but it's like TVs and movie theaters and stuff like that. That's a different kind of contract. That's a different kind of money.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff that it's comparable to when you do a network TV show. And that's the kind of stuff that we're trying to have happen to streamers.
Yeah.
Because we're not asking for the moon. We're just asking to be able to live.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's probably about all I've got. If there are questions in the chat before we start to wind down, we'll take them. Otherwise, we're probably going to get ready to land this plane in a few minutes.
Yeah.
I'll just scroll through and see if there's anything that I missed. SL, if you've got any more hot takes, this would be a good time.
No, I'm sure they're still inside me, but I think I've said what I need to say.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah. So. Yeah, I mean that's about it for tonight. I don't know if this is a do the thing or if this is something else that we're doing. I don't know where this lives after, but there will be a VOD. I guess it'll be on this channel after. And
right now the doing the thing is striking. That's doing the thing. We're striking.
Yeah, don't do the thing. But,
doing the thing is we're fighting. Doing the thing is we're fighting for what's right. We're fighting for our future.
Don't do the thing without a good contract.
Do the thing. Strike.
Yeah.
Fight for what you believe in, because it's gonna affect us for years, and it's laying the pathway for the future. The people who struck in 1960 made it possible for us to get residuals and to get health insurance, and so we're fighting so that future generations of artists can fucking survive and not be fucking taken advantage of. So we're doing the thing. Okay, that's my last hot take.
I just wanted you to get a solo camera on that.
Thanks.
On that last hot take, which also gives me a chance to cue up this. So yeah. If there's anything that I missed, I'll scroll back and I'll try and catch it. I'll try to respond to you. Oh, wait.
What?
I have one more question. We have one more question from the Instagram. All right. Last question of the evening. What, if anything, would you personally modify in the negotiations that were proposed? Boy, there's a lot. It's probably especially at the end here, it's probably a bigger question than we can totally get into. But the basics would be streaming. Here's the basics. Here's the deal. streaming revenue, the money that comes in to pay for residuals, rather than being based on their view metrics, needs to be based on their subscriber base, because that's the direct dollars that come into the company, right? That's the version, that's ratings now, right? Because what the shows will do is they'll basically pump and dump. They'll have a season, they'll hold it for years sometimes, and the actors for years sometimes. Then they'll drop it all at once, and it'll be like a 6-episode season.
And holding actors for years means they can't get other work.
Means they can't get other work, which makes them more poor, right? Though they won't work, they can't work, right? Then the show drops, and it's like 4-6 episodes, right? 12 maybe if it's a big show now, as opposed to 22 like there used to be on old TV. So going based on, and they'll run that show for 2 seasons to bring the subscribers in, and then when they've got enough subscribers, that show has done its job, and that show, your favorite show, gets canceled because it did its job to bring in the subscribers. So chasing the view count like you would in an old Nielsen rating isn't the way anymore. The way has to become chase what they're chasing, follow the money. They're chasing subscriber dollars. So that is where our revenue pot needs to come from for residuals. And that's the scale of compensation that we should get from residuals needs to come from a pot that matches the way that they're making money, because that's where they're putting their energy. In the old days, network show, they put their energy into getting commercial advertisers. So the shows would run long seasons because and many episodes for many seasons, because that was a reliable way to keep advertisers in. Now they want to keep subscribers. They'll pump and dump shows and they'll change shows, but they'll do all kinds of tactics to keep subscribers. That's how they're getting their money. So we need to go to where the money is. So that would be one of the many changes and that's what SAG's fighting for.
Yeah.
That is what SAG is fighting for. So our goals are their goals. So that's about it. Hey, I'm glad you're here. We're just about to end. The live stream is actually on YouTube.
Thank you for the compliment, Doug.
What did Doug say?
Your special guest is on fire.
Yeah, she's fired up. She's fired up. So yeah, I think we're gonna call it here. That'll be all for this week. You should come back. We should do more stuff.
Sure, I do live here.
You do live here, but sometimes you're busy.
That's true.
Okay. All right. Well, you want to say good night?
Good night. Thank you for listening and for your time. I was trying to hit all the cameras.
Oh, you were?
I
was trying to follow. Okay. All right, we'll try again. Ready?
Okay.
All right. Here we go. You want to say good night?
Good night. Thank you for listening. I appreciate it. I'm going to my solo camera. Thank you for listening. Go to the live stream. Thank you for listening. Good night.
Yeah.
Good night. All right, we're back to 1. All right.
Okay. That was the weirdest thing. All right. That was wonderful. Bye, everybody.
You're still alive.
I know I'm still alive.